Hi, my name's Lou Yates. I've worked in the debt advice and insolvency sector for the whole of my career. One of the main motivations for forming TIP has been the disparity in the journey a customer takes into an IVA. It became very apparent that some customers were being contacted by call centre type organisations, really sold into an IVA, sold a dream of an IVA. IVA is a great product for as a debt solution, but it's not a dream, it's not easy. It requires quite a lot of commitment on a client's behalf. It's so important that the journey they take into the IVA is one where the commitment's explained, the expectation on the debt is explained. And where possible, there is no bias towards advising an IVA. I think that's quite critical as well. It's got to be absolute best advice.
I've been working with people who provide IVAs since they were introduced in 1986. And right back then, they were used very infrequently, but they were provided by a group of trusted professionals. They're now a much more common solution. In fact, they are Britain's most common formal personal insolvency solution. David Hawkes of Advice UK and I have talked for many years about the need for the commercial and free sectors to work together. Because if we don't, we can't meet the need of the 8 million people out there who require debt advice. So when Lou Yates came to me and talked to me about TIP, I really wanted to be involved. Because TIP changes things. By bringing transparency and trust back to IVAs, by involving a panel of professionals who are absolutely committed to being open about what they achieve for people and absolutely committed to improving what they do, we can make the IVA the mainstream debt solution it needs to be.
Obviously, as somebody who comes from the advice sector, I'm particularly interested in the benefits that TIP will bring to money advisors. And I think the current situation is less than satisfactory. Advisors are essentially working in the dark because they're required to act in the best interest of clients, but they don't have any information and they don't have the capacity or the resource to undertake a proper due diligence into the insolvency practitioner to whom they're referring clients for an IVA. One of the great things about TIP is that it actually does that. It has a robust due diligence process, so it means that when advisors are referring clients, they can rest assured about the quality of the service that will be provided. I mean, TIP is a social enterprise, and over half of its profits are actually going to charity. And one of the wonderful things, therefore, is the fact that the charitable trust is going to be providing funding for debt advice at a time when funding is a real issue for many debt advice charities.
We look at the stakeholders we have in insolvency, in personal insolvency and IVA, and we have advisors, creditors, consumers and insolvency practitioners, and all four of those stakeholders were dissatisfied with the current IVA provision and outcomes. TIP came about from having conversations with all those stakeholders and realising that their problems were, for the most part, the same problem, which was that the consumer, the debtor in an IVA, was not getting to the end of that IVA. So as part of that, the debtor's unhappy and the advisors are obviously unhappy that the debtor hasn't realised to be debt-free. The creditors are getting lower returns and IP's cases are failing. So we realised everybody was kind of on the same page in what was going wrong. That gave us the opportunity to bring the stakeholders together, quite literally, sit them round a table with the problems and seek to find a solution and evolve that solution. And that's where TIP came from. It's been a collaborative effort across the sector with all stakeholders giving a little and realising that if something was going to be a success in terms of change and innovation, everybody had to be involved, and everybody had to understand the needs of other stakeholders, appreciate that and give a little. Nobody could get greedy.